Welcome to Laugh Through It All. I'm your host, Tracy. Join my friend Dee and I as we dive into the ups and downs of communication in all kinds of relationships friends, family, and partners. We're not experts, just two people figuring it out like everyone else. Miss D, today we are going to talk about effective communication, which so many people lack. And I think I probably, as much as I like to talk, I lack communication skills in in a few different areas, especially if I'm upset,
Mhm.
which I think a lot of people are.
Yeah.
So we want to know why communication is the foundation of healthy relationships. And I looked up the definition of effective communication, and it says that it is the process of successfully exchanging information, ideas, and emotions between two or more people, resulting in mutual understanding and a desired outcome.
Hmm.
So, woo, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And a detailed breakdown was it was broken down into active listening,
Okay.
which says it's not just about speaking, it's also about actively listening to understand the other person's perspective and
Mhm.
respond appropriately. The next
Okay.
one was mutual understanding. The goal is to ensure that the message is received and interpreted as intended. The next one was nonverbal communication, your body language, your tone, your facial expressions, those eye rolls.
Mhm.
And then the last one was emotional intelligence, understanding and managing emotions to communicate more effectively.
They saved the hardest for last.
Yes,
Mhm.
because I now don't even know if it was in another podcast or if it was in the book club, but that emotional intelligence when you are upset,
Mhm.
and especially if it's against your partner,
Right.
people are fighting so badly in because they want you to believe what they're saying
Mhm.
that emotional intelligence just goes right out the
Yep.
window.
Yep.
You're no longer
100%.
in a mature state. At
I
least
mean,
I know I'm not.
it has gotten better the older I got,
Agree. Agree.
right? That's improved. That's one good thing about getting older.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. I don't think I would have ever believed that some things do get better as you get older, but
Right?
it, they really do. I mean, my knees may feel worse, but
Mhm.
my mind feels so better. Why can't those just even out? Why can't you
Yeah.
feel youthful and it can jump off of a bleacher and still feel fine? Not
Right,
like
right.
your legs are
Well,
going to collapse.
well, I was just thinking about what you said with the active listening, and I was thinking about how many times my kids are like, "But mom, I told you." I'm like, and they're like, either think I didn't care, don't care enough, or I wasn't listening, or whatever. I'm like, no, you forget how old I am. Like,
Yeah.
I care. I was listening. I was there with you. I just don't remember.
Yes.
Like, I
Yes.
don't remember anymore. That's fun.
Well, and I always tell, because my kids will say the same thing to me, and I'll say, "Did I respond to you?" If I didn't respond to you, then
Right.
sure bet I did not hear you. If I
Right.
made
That's true.
no, no
Yeah.
no anything that I heard what you said. That's if I didn't respond, I didn't hear
Or
you.
even the nonverbal communication. Did I nod? Give you the thumbs up?
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think too with the active listening part, which I think everybody kind of falters on this a little bit is we are listening to respond.
100%.
And so, you know, um even today I was at a training and I was trying to remember what a word was that we needed to remember to
Yeah.
repeat back to them and I heard nothing else
Nothing.
of what she said because I was waiting to say that word.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Do you have, well, I mean, I am undiagnosed, well, self diagnosed
Right.
ADD. And so half the time, like somebody will be talking, and if it's a long conversation, I can't control it. Man, my brain's thinking about 15 other things, and I'm like nodding and I'm smiling and I'm really trying, but I have to, like, it's hard. It's hard to focus for that long.
Absolutely. No,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
And
I'm definitely not like an auditory learner for
right.
sure. Yeah,
Right.
I'm a visual, I'm a doer like that. Like if we're walking and talking or something like that, it's much better for me. But to sit and to listen to somebody for a long
Mhm.
time, it's really hard.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I think especially as teachers and everything like that
Mhm.
too. You're constantly trying to solve a problem,
Yeah.
whether it be someone misbehaving over on this side or someone already done and you just
Mhm.
started 3 minutes ago, or
Right.
it's like our mind is in several places at one time, and sometimes
Yes.
more than several you know
Right.
and
Yeah.
so I think the active listening is something that you really really have to work on
Yeah.
hard.
And even with the cell phones, like, like between my husband and I, 5 kids, all adult, but we sit down to have a conversation and work, right? The phone is going off, the emails are coming in, somebody's calling. Like, I'm like, we can never have an uninterrupted conversation. Or if we are having a conversation, then you're like, somebody might, the phone pings and you look down and it's like, are you really listening now? Like, do we have to? It's such a challenge, I feel like, to
Hmm.
be an active listener. You have to like sit. Sometimes I'm like, leave the phone in the car when we go to a restaurant because
Sure.
it's so hard, right? And I know there's so many different aspects to active listening, but really just being like there in the moment, I think is the first step, right?
Yeah, and I do think that's gotten way worse because of phones, for sure. I
Mhm.
mean, I know I am, we don't when we eat, but I mean, I know even sitting at home and things like
Right.
that, if my kids are sitting there with me, they're on their phones, but then God forbid if they say something to me and if I'm in the middle of an email or something, I'll say, they'll be like, "Oh, great talk." And
Right.
I'm like,
Right.
"No, okay, but first of all, I can't stop in the middle of a thought. Let me
Yes.
finish this and then I'm gonna be all yours." But
Right.
in mid thought, I can't
Yeah.
do that anymore. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Or I'll
Yep.
completely lose what I'm gonna say.
Hmm.
So I think the active listening part is so important, yes, yet probably I think one of the hardest.
Yeah. That and the emotional one you said, right?
Yeah, emotional intelligence. That is, it's so difficult because you want someone, as the book that I'm reading, the Let Them book by Mel Robbins, that people want control and it's because that's the way they feel safe. And
Right.
so emotional intelligence, when you're in a fight and you're wanting someone just to see your side of it,
Yeah.
that them seeing it or even believing you or taking your side, that's going to make you feel safe again.
Yeah.
Even though both people are fighting for control.
Right. Right.
That's the most amazing thing to me is if you think about that is how they want control just as badly as you want control. So where do you find that middle ground?
Yeah, because in your definition of communication, didn't it say something about like a mutual agreement or mutual understanding?
Yeah,
So,
the process of exchanging information. Yes.
right?
Yes,
So that,
resulting in mutual understanding and a desired outcome.
yeah. So, I mean, that's really hard because if you're in an argument, like you're saying, and you're both wanting your side to be heard or, your point to become across, I feel like that's really hard, right? To have
Hmm.
that mutual understanding. I mean, I guess you can leave it as like, I hear what you're saying. I
Right.
disagree, but I hear what you're saying. You know, I don't know.
Ye yeah, and probably the approach makes the world of a difference there,
Yeah.
and so because I know if someone is coming at me on the defense, I'm
Mhm.
gonna come back with that same tone.
That
You
same energy
know?
or match it or make it more,
Yeah, I
right?
was gonna say,
Yeah.
okay, I see how we're gonna do
Yeah.
this.
You want to go there?
I can do it this way if you want. No problem there.
Exactly.
But if
Exactly.
somebody came to me and, like, "You did this and it really bothered me,"
Mhm.
I would take that in such a different way.
Right. Right. Right.
So,
I mean,
I
that's what it comes down to, right? Like communication, like choosing your words. Like I'm I again, being into control, like to be in control and I like to problem solve, right? Like I like to help people solve their problems.
mhm,
And when my kids were teenagers, especially my daughter, I'd always want to try to help her. And when she would come to me with a problem, and then she'd be like, "Can't you just listen?" And I'm like, "But
mhm,
I am listening." And like you could do A, B, C, and D, and she'd be like, "No, just listen." So what I have learned is when they have the problem and they're coming to you, whether it be about friends or whatever the case may be, is be like, what do you need from me? Is
Mhm.
what do you need from me? Do you need me just to listen? Do you need me to help? What, and that has was life changing in the way that we communicated, and I still use it. Like I feel like with a lot of people, I use it. What can I do for you, or what do you need from me?
Yeah, and that is when you get to that part in the book,
Oh, is
that
that in the book?
that is in the book, and
Oh, okay, interesting.
100%, absolutely.
Mhm.
So that'll resonate with you big
I'm
time because
I'm really far behind, but
yeah,
yes.
no, so it is towards the end. It's
Okay,
about chapter 16-ish,
okay,
somewhere around there, but they do talk about that.
okay.
And because it talks about your need to fix everybody.
Mhm.
And so, well, if you just did it this way, if you just work out and you would feel better, and
Mhm.
people do things that make them feel good now.
Right.
And so instead of telling them how to fix it, it's being next to them.
Yeah.
What can
Yes.
I do to help you?
Right.
Not,
Right. Right.
and not let me tell you what to do. What do you
Right.
need from me? So this exact same things.
Yeah. Yeah, because you figuring out what somebody needs from you when they're sharing an emotional um,
Right.
problem or issue, whatever. It's like,
And they
like,
don't feel judged
hmm
because a lot of people will feel judged if you're I don't know, if you're telling them how to fix their problem and they're not wanting that, then I think they sometimes will feel judged for how they're feeling
sure, yes,
because you're
and,
telling them, well, you should do this and
right,
it'll be all better.
right. And I used to say that there's two sides in this communication thing. So maybe you can open with, "This is what I need from you.
Right.
I have a problem. This is what I need from you. Could you just listen? I don't really need you to solve it." You know, but
I
that's
think that would be huge.
right. So, and I was thinking too when we were on this topic of communication. I don't want to like completely jump ship, but just about the way people communicate. Like, if you're like upset with somebody,
Mhm.
for example, and you're like, and then you'll say to a friend or a family member, I don't really know how to tell, Sarah that what she said was really upsetting me because I know she didn't mean it in a bad way, but from my whatever previous experience, it really triggered me or whatever. I don't know. I'm like, why don't you just say what you just said to me?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like just say what you mean from the heart. Like, and I feel like sometimes there's a lack of communication because
Mhm.
somebody they don't know how to say or articulate.
So even the nonverbal communication, that body language, even the crossed arms and the eye rolls, the tone, the facial expressions, all of this again puts you on the defense. So, where you're gonna attack it a lot differently
Hmm.
if people were just a little more open,
Yeah, right. Did you
you
ever
know.
have somebody that you didn't wanna talk to and they weren't reading your body language? Not in a
Oh,
mean way, but, like, maybe you have to go somewhere and they're like a talker and you're, like, kinda like, "Uh-huh." You're like
backing up.
they still don't
Yeah,
stop.
like, hello, I'm backing up away from you. I need to go. Yeah.
Yeah, right,
Oh,
right.
I have
And
someone right now in my head.
do you?
Oh, yeah. Somebody at work who does that. Just,
Right?
"Ooh, do, 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 do," and I'm like,
Mhm.
"Okay, great. All right, have a great weekend. I'm gonna see ya.
Yeah, yeah.
It's time to go, and I wanna get
Friday,
out of here."
3 o'clock. Don't wanna be at work anymore.
Nope, you may. You
Yeah,
stay. You go ahead
yes.
and hold the fort down. I'm gonna bounce when I
Yeah.
can.
I mean, because there's always, like, those 2 sides, right? We can say, like, negative, like, body language, the eye rolling and things like that with maybe you're talking to a teenager or you're in a fight, but then there's also some people who just don't read it, you know?
No, no, can't read the nonverbal cues, and they're not children. So, key components of healthy communication, we have the active listening, we have clarity and honesty, empathy and understanding, and then again, the nonverbal communication. That empathy and understanding too, seeing things from other
Oh,
person's perspective,
mhm.
um, is again, I find all of this. I think there's two things. One, effective communication, and then there's the communication when you're in an argument.
Right, right, right. Yeah.
because we can have a normal conversation and communicate, and you can have empathy. You can see the other person's view. But when it comes to an argument, we're so wrapped up again in that having to be right.
Right.
And I think all of that combined is so difficult when you are upset about something because you don't want to see someone else's perspective. There is no other perspective but your own when you're like that.
Can you think of like a, I was just trying to think of like somebody while you were talking. I was thinking about somebody maybe who I was upset with or like, you know, had to have a difficult conversation with. And it's been a while. Like,
Same.
yeah, I think that there's been a few more so like political views that
Right.
maybe I've had some like conversation. Not really. I shouldn't say that because that might spark a whole thing on your podcast. But more so like different views, I guess, that might be with like family members. Just you know having those conversations. But then sometimes it's like I don't really keep going because it's not worth like getting in an argument with something I can't have no control over or can't change. You know what I mean?
Agree. And I think, of course, I've had disagreements with family members and things like that. And when it comes to my brother is a very passive aggressive arguer.
Mm-hmm.
And when he argues with you, he wants to make sure you don't feel good. So I don't, he goes for blood. And so I don't think, you know what I mean? He wants to make sure it's not about, and very sarcastic. So
Yeah.
I find it very, very difficult to talk to him
Yeah.
a growth, I guess you could say. If I'm in a growing period mentally and my mindset and things like that, it's very difficult for me to practice those things with someone who reacts that way
Sure. Sure.
because I will immediately go, like, oh my, like immediately want
Yeah.
to go a different way.
Yeah. Do you just not talk with them?
Um, well, I'm thinking back to the last time we kind of had a disagreement, and you leave it and it never is settled,
Mhm.
and it's just basically, okay, we're gonna stop now.
And do you feel
You know?
worse after? Because usually, like with
I-
those kinds of relationships that I
oh,
have in my life, like I usually avoid just so I
absolutely.
because I end up feeling worse.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, I definitely avoid
Hmm.
avoid that kind of confrontation because it's I'm not gonna not that I mean this just saying that I'm not gonna win. You know
Right.
what I mean? There's no I'm not gonna get anything out of it.
Hmm. Hmm.
And there will be nothing settled.
Right.
So I definitely avoid that type of situation.
Right.
And I instruct I give my mom the same advice. Why do you bother? You know
Hmm.
what I mean? There's never going to be an outcome. He's got to participate in that, in that emotional intelligence. He's got to
Right.
participate in
Right.
it.
Right. Yeah, that's hard. And
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm thinking of my family relationships, and there's a few people which I won't say
Yeah.
that come into my mind, and some are like communicate only to fulfill their needs or their boredom.
Hmm.
It's like over communication, and then there's some that we I don't communicate with because same like similar to your relationship with your brother, like that it's just not. It's just like a battle on not a battle, but like
Yeah.
they'll never see my side, or the communication is just it never really gets anywhere.
Mm-mm.
We always hit a wall with it.
Right.
So yeah, it's hard. It's hard. And thinking about that, like different styles and the way different people communicate, I often think of like myself. Um, and I wanted to ask you this, so I guess it's kind of a good segue. Like communicating like either on the phone or through text or talking. But I don't know about you, but by the end of the day, like my job, I talk all day.
Mm-hmm.
And if I tutor, and then if I have clients at night, and then by the time I sit on the couch, I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to
No.
look at my phone. I don't want to text. And sometimes when my answers are like a little bit short or I can't, I often feel that people take me not wanting to talk,
Sure.
not for me to recharge. Like I need to recharge. I'm an introvert for sure. And which is kind of odd, but you hear like people who are introverts, but they're always are like kind of performing, right? So that's what we do like as teachers and, you know, so anyways, I need to like be done for
Absolutely.
my own mental health, but then people take it personally. Have you ever experienced that?
Oh,
Where they're
I'm
like,
quite
"Oh, they
sure.
don't wanna talk to me." It has nothing to do with you. It
Right.
has to do with what my needs are right now. And
Mm,
people have a hard time, like, understanding that, and I have a hard time being able to communicate that because they're like, "Oh, I'm done with the work. I can't wait to reach out and talk to you," and it's not that I don't wanna talk.
sure.
I'm just tired of talking.
Well, yeah, because even when I get done, like say doing one of
Yeah,
these, it you don't because I'm up doing it, and I've worked all day, and then I do this, and then I do a million things, and then when I'm
yeah,
done with this, I want to just like lay on the couch. Well, it depends on what time I get done.
of course.
But yeah, I don't want to do a darn thing. I
Yeah,
want to not. I just want to do something mind numbing. Just watch TV and I
right.
can just stare at it. You
Yes.
know.
Yeah.
And
Don't
so
talk to me.
no, absolutely. What'd you
Don't
say?
wanna communicate. I said, "Don't I don't wanna communicate. Don't talk to
No,
me."
no.
Yeah,
I've been talking all day and all night, and it's like, no, you need a little bit of a break for
yeah.
sure. But
And my husband,
that's your boundary setting.
yeah,
People get very uncomfortable when you set a boundary.
yeah, they do, right? Because it
Yes.
becomes about them and not about you, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Even like last night in the book club, we talked about it and how people who are afraid to communicate their wants and their needs to people, they don't do it because they fear their reaction and them maybe stepping back. And
yeah,
I even started to get like teary-eyed because I said, isn't it terrible that we worry so much about how they're going to react instead of how I feel.
yeah. Taking care of yourself, right?
Yes, and how bad we feel and how we tiptoe around things because
Mhm.
we don't want them to feel bad. We're not worrying about how we feel.
Right,
We're
right,
worried
right.
about their feelings.
Yep, yep,
Where if they thought about that for a second, they think, well, they wouldn't treat me that way. Why do they feel okay
right.
communicating me with me that way? They're not
Yeah,
thinking that.
yeah, yeah.
And
I agree with you
it's so
100%.
yeah, so many situations are like that. If I look back at relationships I've had in the past, it's like, my God, the tiptoeing, the
Yeah.
not communicating
Mhm.
because I was afraid of how they would feel if I communicated my thoughts
Right.
and feelings, my
Yeah,
wants
absolutely,
and my
especially in the
needs.
beginning of a relationship too, right? Like you wanna, like, do and say and do the right things and not
Yeah,
really kind of, people, right? Don't you, there's always in a movie like, oh, our first date was Thai food. And then I found out later they hate Thai food or whatever.
right.
Like, because you're afraid, right? My
Yes,
father-in-law told his wife that she was a big movie buff. She loved going to the movies, and I guess they always joke around. Like his first day, he was like, "Oh, I love to go to the movies. I go to the movies all the time." He hates the movies. He never goes to the movies. It's like something silly like that. But yeah, but again, you're like not really, I mean, that's like very surface level, but like you don't want to
no,
share your thoughts, your
yes,
feelings. People are afraid to open up and talk about those things because they're afraid of the other person's reactions.
yep,
Mhm.
yep, absolutely. Um, so if we think about that, like seeing things, if we go back to the seeing things from other person's perspective
Mhm. Mhm.
and being open, you want clarity of what is the problem.
Yeah.
I think especially men, I'm speaking, I am a female, let's just, but from what I heard and reading that I've done is men think that you're telling them your problem
Oh,
because they want you to we want them to
yeah,
solve it.
of course, because how could you solve it on your own?
All right, you know what I mean? So,
You
um
silly girl.
I think that's important too, is like what you said earlier, is to say, listen, I want to sit here and bitch about work,
Right.
for a little
Yes.
bit. I'm not looking for you to tell me what I should do. I
100%.
just need to get it off my chest.
And again, communication's a two-way street. So I was just teasing, obviously, but yes, in any
Yeah.
relationship, I think that there's always somebody who's kind of the fixer and somebody who's maybe not, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
then, because there's many times I'll say to, Jeff, like, tell him something and I do want him to fix it, and he can't read my mind. So yeah, it's up to me to be like, okay, this one you just need to listen to. I don't need you to give me 8 ways to solve it.
Yes.
Yeah. But again, it's a two-way street.
And when you have two people that aren't effective communicators in general, it's darn near impossible.
Yeah. And I think there's like different people communicate this differently, right? There's communication styles, I guess, and some people just click with others and some people don't, you
Right.
know? So it's
Do you
natural.
think about communication in um like friendships? If you think about vulnerability in friendships, or just, how do you navigate disagreements, things like that? How do you see it differently?
Um, well, I've had some interesting experiences with friends. Most of my experiences, I feel like, especially when I lived in Jersey, a lot of my relationships came with from working in the gym. So a lot of the members that took my class, but I also felt that they were really. I felt this way. Could be my perceptions could be completely skewed. So I'm not blaming anybody, but that it was always somebody who wanted something from me.
I could see that. Yes. I could see where you
Um, yeah, so they always wanted to be friends with the instructor or wanted something from me. And I feel like a lot of but I also think maybe I just have a hard time making connections or friends.
Mhm.
I don't know. I made some good ones here, I guess, now that I'm living in Delaware. But I did have a good group of friends there, and we had kind of a falling out with the way that one of my friends treated my now husband.
Mm.
Kind of asking him very inappropriate, not sexual, like inappropriate questions about like kind of past traumas and like at a party, and he was like, I'm not having this conversation with you. And I mean, she was like drilling him, and she was a little drunk, and I was really upset, and like no apology. I made a few. I didn't communicate very well. Like I didn't come out and say this really bothered me that you did this,
Yeah.
because I didn't think that that person would really. I knew that person. I don't think that they would ever really take responsibility or accountability.
Mhm.
So I kind of just let it fade away.
Yeah.
So that was hard. And then I also am thinking about um, I have friends or people in my life that only want you to be bubbly and happy all the time.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
you know what I mean? So if you go to sit down and have like a heart to heart about like maybe struggles that you've had in the past, or, my mom's been having a lot of health issues and surgeries, and it's kind of like, how is she? And they
Mm.
really just want me to say, she's doing okay.
Great. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then, but if you
Move
start to
along.
go in and then like say like the nitty gritty, they don't really want to hear about it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, and then I also have people in my life who don't ask me, but will ask my husband about me, which I
That's
feel is,
weird.
yeah, like they'll be like, "Hey, how's Dee's mom doing?" Instead of just asking me, which I feel like is kind of odd too.
It is odd.
Right? Isn't that weird? I feel so. I don't know. I feel like I have a lot of different ways that people communicate, or I communicate with them. Sometimes I feel like I'll like tiptoe around different people. Like I
Mhm.
have to. Do you do that?
For sure.
You
Yeah, I
do?
know what you mean.
Okay, I'm not the
I
only
mean,
one?
you know, I go back and forth, because I had a friendship that ended after 18 years.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't know if I fully have trust isn't the right word, but like I like fully had someone that I just could tell everything to. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because that ended, and she knew everything about my life, absolutely everything.
Yeah.
And so when that is betray again is not the right word, but when that has ended, I think I've kind of eased my way into allowing someone to get that close to me again,
Sure.
because it can be ripped away in seconds
Yeah.
and out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And so I don't think, I mean, she was my best friend, and I don't think that I've had that level of friendship with
Yes.
someone, because I keep a very small circle.
Mhm.
There are people who I definitely am an open person. I am willing to talk about just about anything.
Right.
Um, but then there are people who like that I will let know another side of me that I wouldn't let, you know,
Sure.
I may
Sure.
talk about having sex with somebody, but I wouldn't tell them my thoughts and feelings that something was hurting me or something happened with my family, if that
Right.
makes sense.
Right.
You
Right.
know, there are
Yes.
definitely different levels where even
Yeah.
though I'm a sharer, I may not tell you my feelings on that.
Right. Yeah. So I hear you saying like you communicate differently and share different parts of you with
Correct.
different people, right?
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
I agree. I agree. I feel like I haven't had a lot of really deep relationships
Hmm.
from some of the um, abandonment issues as a teenager. Like I see why I was the way I was as a teenager, um, and then I think as an adult through the divorces, like it took a long time to like it was I just didn't trust. I like you said, I just didn't really trust people.
Yeah.
So my communication wasn't always honest.
Right.
The way that I was feeling, because that would just give you more reason to go. So let me just be happy all the time and everything's good all the time, because everybody wants to be around somebody who's happy.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, I battled with depression for quite a while, and there there weren't too many people who knew,
yeah.
because I was very happy when I was at work and when I was doing other things. And then the second the kids would be gone, I would be such a shell of a person, and there weren't many people who knew that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I could probably, I mean, besides my family, I don't even know what friends would have known that.
Yeah, because I was surprised when you had told me that.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it was some
Hmm.
really, really hard, hard times. I struggled bad.
Yeah.
But then the kids would come back and I would, there again, we'd go out and do things and it would just be fine. But, many times they would leave, and the second they would leave, I would just sob. It was very difficult to have them
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah. I'm sorry that you had to go through that. I,
Yeah,
you
but you
know,
know what? I mean, I hated it too, but I've learned from it, and I really, you do have to you do have to help yourself,
right, right,
because people could have told me, "Well, come out, come out with me and let's go do something and have fun."
right.
I
No,
couldn't get off the couch during those
right.
times, let alone shower and get ready.
Put
Crazy?
makeup on.
Yeah, absolutely
Come over,
not.
eat a pint of ice cream, and watch me cry,
Yeah, exactly.
or bring wine, one or the other.
I mean, during those times, my only saving grace was in the summer, because I could at least sit outside.
Yeah, yeah,
Winter in general is not, actually, this winter I didn't have a hard time. Um, but there again, I'm changing parts of my life,
right, right. Yeah,
and
I
but
feel like
summer,
go ahead.
what'd you say?
I was interrupting you. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying the summer saved me because I could at least be outside in the sun, and that helps.
Yeah,
So, you can work outside, work in your garden, I can do all that other stuff.
right. And I was just gonna say, like, speaking of like seasons, I was like, I communicate less in the winter, right? Like, I'm so much more social and feel like I have more energy to give to people,
Mhm.
right? And there's some friends that we were like, "Ah, God, we haven't seen you guys since like whatever that fight was. Was it Tyson that fought again?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a little
Yeah,
while ago.
I was like November. I was like, "Oh, we haven't seen you." We just went out to dinner with them last week. I'm like, God, I was so antisocial. I just like holed up in the house.
Mhm.
It's dark at 5 and winter, and
Yeah, I don't wanna do anything once it gets dark.
I don't know if that's communication or lack of energy. I don't know what it is, but
Yeah, I
like
think
I
that
know
the lack of vitamin D doesn't want you to do anything and doesn't want you to talk.
we're better communicators when it's nice and sunny.
I am
When we're
a
not working.
much better communicator when the sun is out. As
You
long
are
as I'm not
you're
sweating, dripping with sweat while we're communicating.
right, yeah, then you're gonna get really irritated.
Then all I can think about is stop talking so I can go inside. So yeah,
So
I think with friendship, you know, I don't know. But I mean, like you, I wouldn't think twice about telling you anything. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And
Oh,
so,
I know, isn't that odd though?
mhm.
Because it's
Well,
been ho like,
I
it's a long
think if you
time.
go back to, w- I think there's a comfort level in knowing you for different stages of my life. And
Yes.
so you've seen different stages of my
Mhm.
life and you're still here. So I think that judgment piece is taken
Gone.
away.
Yeah.
And so I don't have the worry of if I tell you this, you're going to think differently of me.
Right.
I think that, you know what I mean? I don't think I have that.
Mhm.
And where other parts of my life, I feel that, you know,
Right.
and I mean, I guess relationship wise, you
Mhm.
know, you say something and you worry that they're going to leave. And
Yeah.
so, I don't have the fear of you leaving.
Right. Right.
So I think, you know, even with the one girl I was friends with, you know,
Yeah.
we were best friends and she
And
left,
what
you
happened?
know.
Do you wanna share?
We got into a fight at one fight. That was the one and only fight we ever had.
Was it
And we were drinking and she was going through her own struggles at that time, which I mean I knew about, but she wasn't even though we were best friends for 18 years, there were things about her life that I didn't know. She wasn't an
oh,
open
she's more
emotional
private.
person
Yeah.
where I am, you know what I mean? So it was, I mean, looking back, I gave that part of me, but she did not give that part of her. And so she had her own stuff that she was dealing with, and we went out one night and we had some drinks and I think there were some things that she needed to get off her chest and they were things that I didn't didn't deserve to hear. She said some pretty hurtful things to me,
Mhm.
and we never spoke again.
Right.
You
Not the
know,
same as my falling out with a friends, that friend, but the fact that we both didn't communicate and
mhm.
reach out after to say like, "Hey, this is, why?" But like, did you feel like it was unforgivable?
Um,
Like,
well,
so
I think it was because it was so out of the blue.
Mhm.
Like I said, we never had a fight, and
Yeah.
so I it was a big shock to me the things that she said to me,
Mhm.
the way that she was feeling.
Mhm.
I, eh, you know, again, she didn't express any of that
Right.
before. And so it was extremely hurtful and out of the blue. So I didn't know how to take it.
Mhm.
And um, we didn't talk for, I think it was about 5 years.
Okay.
We just started talking again in August.
Right.
And and she was able to explain where she was coming from and how she has, you know,
Mhm.
she did therapy and all this other stuff. And so she's kind of come to terms with things and she understood that she did not communicate with me on things that she was dealing with or things that she was
Right.
feeling. And she feels that she's better at that now.
Yeah.
Um, but I think we were both very stubborn in the fact that I was not going to reach out to her.
Yeah.
And I felt you know, she was the one that said some hurtful things. I felt that
Mhm.
she needed to reach out to me.
With you. Right. Sure.
And she claims, well, you blocked me on Facebook and everything else. I'm thinking, okay, well, you know how to get a hold of me. I mean, email, you know, we work in the same district. And so there were ways that she could have reached out to me.
Sure. Sure.
But she said to me, I always knew you would message me.
That you wouldn't or you would?
I would, that I
Okay.
would eventually reach out to her.
And you did? Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, there's been two relationships that you know, again going through, I hate saying it all the time, but you know, going through a little mindset, a little change in my own self. And so there were a couple relationships that I needed to have closure
Mhm.
so I could heal. And so in order for me to do that, I needed to reach out to her
Mhm.
and to reach out to both of them. The one that I'm talking about now, that one ended up to where we've talked and we've been out
Mhm.
a couple times and um we chat, we text and things like that.
It might not be
So
what it was,
she,
but
right, she was receptive. The
good.
other one did not take it and run with it. It was she didn't even
She acknowledged though?
she not well, I didn't go into what our issue was. I just kind of reached out to her and talked about something completely irrelevant, but I was reaching out. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And she didn't continue with the conversation, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Where this
Sure.
person did.
Yeah.
She she took my white flag and she kept going with it.
Yeah.
So I thought, you know what? I healed that for me. One,
Right.
I can easily let go, and the other one, you know what I mean, is
Yeah.
we're back communicating.
Yeah.
So that's all I can ask for.
Yeah. I had a friend like that too. I had a really good friend when I waitressed in Royal Oak, like through college and stuff, and we were super super close. And then I got married, and I had Sabina, and I think she had gotten, she was must yeah, she was married too, and I had Sabina, and she was trying to get pregnant. I knew that, um, and so I don't know if she said to me, I'm having a hard time, I'm gonna hold off and seeing the baby. So I said, totally get it. And I would send, the little pictures, like the school picture size, like to her of like Sabina's 3 months or her 6 months or her, 9 months. And she lost it. I was moving to New Jersey and I wanted to say goodbye. Sabina was 3, hadn't like talked to her or seen her. And I was like, why are you not replying to me? Like, I was so hurt. I remember crying and
Mhm.
like, why, like, what did I do? And then she ended up telling me that she thought I was so insensitive because I was
Oh,
sending her pictures of my daughter because she was struggling to get pregnant and couldn't. Like, I was like rubbing it in her face. When I, on the other hand, thought I was being so understanding
right,
because I understand if you don't want to come see her, but
right,
I thought she was my friend. I thought she would be happy for me or like at least see the pictures. I thought I was being nice because I was
right.
hurt that she didn't come see her. But
Yeah,
I had no idea that she felt like I was being like a horrible human being because that was not my
right,
intention, right?
right.
And um I didn't get to see her before I moved. And then it wasn't until Sabina was maybe 9 or 10 that she reached out to me on Facebook and apologized and said that she was sorry that she was so angry with me and that she had her own stuff and she wasn't communicating and whatever. And I was really I remember my heart was racing when I was reading that
Yeah.
message, and I was so happy that she reached out. And I tried to continue the relationship and then like ask her about, because she had 2 kids by this point, and like talk to her about how they were doing and her husband, and then she went away again.
Mhm.
So I was like, maybe it like, I felt like it cleared it for her. She mended what she, or, needed to apologize for whatever reason. But then I was hurt again by her, so I was like, okay.
Yes. Yeah,
Back
sometimes
up.
those are double whammies.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of forgot about that until you were telling me about your story.
Yeah, it's friendships are hard to navigate sometimes.
Hmm.
Even with the best intentions. Like you said, with both of us, I had no idea,
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
idea of some of the things that she felt or, you know, and so, but you can't know. You can't know if someone doesn't express it to you. So,
Right.
and so that the knowing when to speak up to save a friendship or when to walk away.
Absolutely. Because people, there's a saying, I forget what it is. I'll find it and send it to you. But like people come and go, like in your life, right? Some stay. I think few stay. I think your circle gets smaller as you get older, for sure.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah. And I think again, like, I like a small circle anyway. I really do.
Yeah, yeah. I don't do well communicating in
Mhm.
like large groups of people. I'm definitely I don't feel it's probably an insecurity thing because I have many of them, but I don't feel seen or heard. I feel like I'm
Right.
talked over. I don't know if it's because like physically small, like 4'11. Like I feel like everybody's like towering over me and like talking louder than me, and I just don't do well at all. Um,
Eh,
much prefer to communicate and engage with other people in small groups, or
right.
one on one is my my preference for sure.
And I think for me, the I don't know, the bigger the group, I get one of 2 things. I either get really quiet or
Hmm.
I have to be funny.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Come on.
So if I'm on a roll, then it's perfect. But if
Yeah.
I you know what I mean? I'm like, because it's just a nerves, just like
Yeah.
I laugh at inappropriate times.
Sure.
You know what
Sure.
I mean? I'm a person who will laugh at funerals. It's
Mhm.
not funny, and I
Right.
don't mean that anything is funny. It's just that is how
Yeah.
it's come
Yeah.
out of me.
Yes. Yeah.
So my anxiety probably just shows itself,
Yeah.
you know?
So you
And
like smaller groups as well.
oh, 100%.
Isn't that funny though that both of us were teachers, and then I also all the fitness for how many years I teach fitness classes? Like 40,
Yes. Yeah, and doing this. I mean,
30.
people would assume that I have no problem standing up and talking. But let me tell you something, to stand up and talk in front of a whole room full of my peers, I would just assume just die. Hit me with a car.
100%.
I don't-
100%. I don't even like to act like I would stand up and ask a question at a staff meeting. Forget it.
Hmm.
My heart. I would just like send it in an email later. Forget it. No way.
Yeah, so how we can be both like such extrovert and such introverts all at the same time.
I felt like I realized that I was a better communicator, meaning teaching, like teaching, communicating how to like solve a math problem, right? Um, and teaching my fitness classes or working with clients through because I was in charge. Like
Ooh,
I was in a position where nobody could really talk over me.
you're right.
Again, with the control, full circle, back to the back to the control.
Wow, that damn control. I swear to God, I think about it
But
all the time. I swear to God, I think about it all the time.
but I could control the room that way.
Yes,
Did you just have a
because
light bulb moment?
because the control makes you feel safe. That's what
Yeah.
it's all about, is everything
Oh
you do
my
makes
god,
you feel safe. And so the only way you feel safe is if you're in control. It
100%.
blows my freaking ass mind.
I
'Cause I
know.
think about it
With
constantly.
Mel and Oprah, like the light bulb
I
moment,
know.
put them together.
Oprah, my old best friend, Mel Robbins, my new best friend.
Move
She does
over.
not know it, but she is.
I mean, that was pretty good. Full circle, I felt like.
Yeah, it's so true, and it blows my mind every time I think about it that way. I need to think about it that way when I'm in the moment dealing with
Yeah,
things.
yeah, yeah.
Although I know that with kids, teaching special needs kids, I know that a lot of times the tantrums and the meltdowns and them not feeling good, it's because they don't feel safe. And so they're trying, so when I have to go get them from a classroom or under a table,
Yeah,
it's they're not feeling safe, they're not feeling heard.
yeah,
And why I would say most, if not all of them, respond to me. I can get them to calm down.
yeah,
It's because they have that, they
yeah.
feel like they've got some control because I see what they're doing. You know what I mean? And instead of forcing them to feel a different way, you know what I mean? I allow them to feel it and then we talk about it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah. But when
I
you're in a safe space, I think that's why people speak openly with a therapist, right? Or
Mhm.
because they're in a safe, non-judged,
Yes.
place, and then you can kind of like just say everything.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
So I think again, there's parts of my life that I'm really good at that kind of stuff. And then, but I think with a lot of things, like when it comes to personal relationships, a lot of things go out the door. Like I can easily solve a problem with students at work, but then I come home and it's completely different person with my own kids.
Sure. I'm sure. Well, you have more power in in the classroom because that's what they see you as, is that figure. You
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
It's it's mind-blowing to me, so many things.
Your takeaway from this is,
Right. Right.
right? Like,
I I just need
communication is
to.
hard. It's like
Huh?
communication is hard. It's like a work in progress. And some people I feel like I you just communicate better with, and some people you don't. Is that a personality thing? Like, like our personalities are we communicate really well together because I think our
Yes.
personalities are very similar. Because I even was thinking about, and I don't know if you want to bring it up.
Oh,
Um,
yes, tell me.
remember the date that you went on and somebody wasn't replying
Oh my god.
quick enough. The
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
and you
yes,
were like, "This is not gonna work for me. This is
yes,
not gonna work for me."
yes.
Because what maybe it had nothing to do with interest. Some people aren't on their phones all the time. Some
Mhm,
people are, and some
mhm.
people like a quick response. Some people don't get back at all. So communication styles
Right.
are really, really different. And I think you have to find to have a good, successful relationship, you have to find somebody that your communication styles match.
And a lot of times my problem with that, you know, like say I could text you and you could not text me back all day and I would 100% know why. You know what I mean? And I would be fine with that. But or you'll say, "Listen, you'll say, got my hands full. I'll answer you later." You do know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But my
Yep.
problem lots of times in the dating world
Mhm.
is that they are on it. They're texting you all the time. They're, you know what I mean? It's they're answering you right
Right.
back and then all of a sudden they like drop
It's
off the face of the earth. And I'm like,
That's different.
that's not gonna work for me. I can't take that
Mhm.
inconsistency.
Right.
Or, you know what? Don't text me all day, but let's have a conversation. Let's talk on the phone tonight.
Mhm.
Or, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's just I am a communicator. I want the communication. And
Mhm.
I'm to the point now where I'm like, listen, if we're not gonna do
Yep.
this, please just
Our time. Yeah.
save yourself
Right.
because I need someone who's going to effectively communicate with me.
Yes. Yes.
And unfortunately, there are too many people who don't know how to do that.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, I'm just at a point in my life where I just don't have time for those games,
Yeah.
you
And
know,
that
and
was I didn't realize he was texting like all the time beforehand, I guess. Maybe you did tell me and I didn't think about that. But
yeah, it's just when they drop off, you know
yeah,
what I mean?
but either way, like if that's like he could have just said,
Yes.
"Mm, just communicate."
It is so easy.
Yeah.
It's so easy.
It
So,
is That's so hard. But anyways,
no,
right?
so when you think about love relationships
Yeah.
and communication, you've got so many different love languages,
Yeah.
which I also think are so important because
Yeah.
someone could not like to text.
Hmm.
Perfect. You're not a texter. Fine with that. But
Right.
how do you like to because I've done that where
Yeah.
people where I've said, um, I get the impression that you're not a texter. What is your communication style?
Right.
And and then some people will come back, or actually some people will come back not at all and be like, "Oh, wait a minute. Homegirl is making me answer some questions that I'm not
The
prepared to
damn
answer.
business, right?
How dare she be mature?" You know what
Right,
I
right,
mean?
right, right, right.
Or some people will say, "You know what? I hate texting. I don't keep my phone on me all the time, but
Right,
I'm great at talking on the phone."
right,
And like, perfect. Then I
right.
know not to expect him to answer a text or to text me during the day. That's all it takes. It's all it takes. Why
I
is it
thought
so damn easy and people just fail miserably? It upsets me.
got you all fired up.
I know. Don't get me started on it. It's terrible.
Wow.
So
I
yeah,
guess
so
it's
the
harder
love
to
language thing, love languages definitely affect communication.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's harder to communicate with people that you are more not more, but maybe there's different levels of emotional,
Mhm.
right? Like a friendship is friendship, but then Like with your partner, you might be best friends, you have family members. Like there's more, it's more complicated, I guess, more complicated of a relationship, right? Dealing with like other family members, you have like a different emotional level. Um, I don't know. You see different stresses throughout the day. So I guess maybe it's like different to communicate with a
Hmm.
partner than it is a friend, like obviously, than it
And
is
I
with
think too,
peers.
if you're at the beginning of when you're dating, I think you're looking for your bond to keep you going. You know what
Right.
I mean? Even
Yeah.
before you go on a date,
Hmm.
it's trying to find your fit.
Right. Right.
And so, and also maybe I've been doing it for too damn long that, or I mean, trying to date for too long, and not having a relationship for too long. Maybe I'm doing it all wrong, but it's just like there's got to be something. But I'm
I
just,
don't think you're doing it.
I really don't even care. Just text me back, bro. That's all I'm asking for. Text me back, bro. Easy, easy. Everyone has 2 seconds.
Everybody has 2 seconds.
Yeah, I can say, listen, if my friend D, who's got 3 kids that she's watching, can text me back and say, very, very busy, hands full, text you later.
Incomplete sentences, fragments.
Yeah, yeah, you can do it in 2 seconds.
Yes, you can.
Text you later. Eh,
Yep. Not now.
Grow the fuck up, dude. But I don't have to worry about that right now.
Nope. 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 Too busy
So
growing your
the role of emotional intimacy and deep conversations. Um, I can't say that I remember having deep conversations in a relationship. I don't know the last deep conversation I had in a loving relationship, not friends, but to where someone has been so vulnerable, the male counterpart has been so vulnerable that they're able to kind of tell you terrible things that have happened or things that they've experienced. They may have told you on the surface level of something that's gone wrong or how they were raised or some things that happened in their childhood, but it's never really the deep where they really dig deep into their feelings.
yeah. I think my husband, this one,
Yes. Your current husband.
the last one, um, yeah,
We
definitely.
ain't doing this again.
But he definitely has. I think he's probably the first,
Yeah.
like like fears and like yeah, pretty deep. I
And
would say
that's nice.
I think it brings your relationship to a different level.
For sure. For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
And I think
I
that's
wouldn't. I would say there's probably wine involved, but
as there should be.
as there
As there
should.
should be.
But yeah, no, I definitely have had really deep conversations. And one of our favorite things to do is Friday nights. Um, and work week is done. And I keep talking about wine. I really only drink on Friday and Saturday. And I swear it's like only 2 glasses. I sound like a raging alcoholic when I'm not. Um, but
Honey, bring me that other wine.
I just know that tomorrow's Friday and I get a
Yes.
glass. Um, but one of our favorite things to do is like Friday after work, like pour a glass of wine, sit and talk. But we do put the phones away, and every day I'll back up. Fridays are fabulous, and we usually have like deeper conversations. I think on a Friday, kind
Mhm.
of maybe what we're hoping for our future or things like that. But so that's always like special. I think we have a good communication there. And then on every day around 3 o'clock or 3:30, I try not to plan anything. And we have coffee every day.
Oh,
And
that's
we sit down.
amazing.
Yeah, we sit down and have coffee and we talk about like how's
Your
your day?
day.
Because then he has work, sometimes afterwards, and then I either tutor or train clients or something like that. But we try to touch base and sit for like a good at least 30 minutes, if not 40, and just kind of catch up and communicate that way. So I know what's going on. Then when we do sit down and wind down for the night, like I kind of know where his headspace is,
Mhm.
depending on how his day went at work.
I think that's amazing. I love that.
Yeah, we try.
Now, if you have a disagreement, do
Mhm.
you save it for those times?
Oh no,
No.
No, I could never hold on if something I
Yeah,
was.
no. Yeah, no, I'm just, you know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, do you, because they do say to take some time before you respond on some of those things. But but what if you're not together during the day? So say you're not together during the day and something, you
But
get like a little tiff, say over the phone or through text, do you then wait till those times or no?
yeah, I hate to say I don't
No.
get into tiffs like that. I don't, that has not happened.
Okay, well, that's amazing. Good for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Because,
Well, that's probably because you guys you have a lot of times to communicate.
yes.
So, I mean, that's huge.
And I think maybe like, I'm trying to think of like when I did like with a spouse, or it
Yeah,
was more like about the kids or something like, but
right.
we don't have like those complications, I guess, in our life anymore. So I don't know what we really argue. I couldn't even think about what we would argue about.
Right.
Um, there has been things that we've had like more
Disagreement.
disagreements or debates about, um, but those are really far
Yeah.
and few. We don't have too many.
Well, I think that's probably also because you do communicate, you set
Yeah,
aside those times.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
nothing could come up that you haven't already at least been aware of. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
yeah,
If you take time every single day to do that.
yes, yes, we do. And then, like he's we're both kind of introverts, and so like we're always together. Like we wake up at 5 a.m., we go to the gym together at 5, we're at the gym at 5:30.
Hmm.
Like we have our morning, we have a routine. And he's the first person too, like I guess, um, maybe it goes to the nonverbal communication. Like he can kind of read me, and like if he knows I look a little frantic in the morning, he'll be like, "Don't worry about it. I'll do the dishes, or I'll get this ready." You know, we try to like make each other's lives easier and better. So, but I guess that's maybe those nonverbal cues that we kind of
Right.
read off one another. I can tell if he's having a bad day, then I might, get dinner ready and have stuff out
Hmm.
for him. So he doesn't have like it's one less thing he has to worry about or do.
Sure, sure.
Example, but you get the idea, you know.
And
So
I think probably, like you said earlier, not having little kids makes that so much more doable
100%.
and important because you don't have other little humans to make sure they're safe throughout the day, you know?
Absolutely. We have two fur babies, and and like sometimes we argue over them.
Right.
I mean, like, what are you gonna argue about a dog? Like, I carry the my miniature dachshund up and down the stairs. He's like, you don't need to carry him. I'm like, yes, I do. Like,
Yeah.
we argue about. I'm like, yes, he's an old man. I gotta carry him. His spine. I mean, like, I don't really know if that's an argument.
No, right, 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 right.
I don't know what else we argue about.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Gosh, lucky.
yeah.
Good for you guys.
Well,
So to a final conclusion, final thoughts, I have a quote for you. How about that? So, quote from Nat Turner. It says, "Good communication is the bridge between confusion and clarity." Totally true. Oh, well, thank you for doing this with me. I don't know if we came to
nope.
any clarity for anybody about communication. I think many people will just say, "Oh my God, they have just as hard time communicating as I do."
That's amazing.
So these people, you're never alone. If I'm if I'm in your life anyway, even if you're just listening to me, know that I'm no better.
That's
Absolutely
hilarious.
better. That's why I do these. Is because I want people to know that their crazy thoughts and everything else is just normal.
Normal. I like it. Thanks for that. Thanks. I feel better now.
Yeah, exactly. You're normal. You're normal. You don't know what the hell's going on in any aspect of your life. You're normal. You've got pajama pants on while you're doing a podcast.
Yeah, there you go.
Normal. Thank you for joining me. As always, do better, expect better, and be better. And remember to laugh through it all. Don't forget to check out my Shopify page where you can pick up some do better, expect better, be better, and some laugh through it all merchandise. Link is in the description.